Hey guys, Alvin here, and a very warm welcome back to another episode of Tuesday TrackWalks. And today's episode, my new Simagic, and also just to give you a little bit of an update on a man who has vanished for 4 months. Wonder who's that going to be. So it's finally here. After a year or so talking about setting up a Simagic at my own place, I've finally done it and it is here. I'm very excited about it, not only apart from the fact that I can practice now at home whenever I wanted to, but also it's just gives me an extra tool to pump out more content, hopefully anyway. So without any further ado, let's hand it over to cameraman Alvin and have him to take you through my new workplace and see how it looks like compared to my old one.
So, cameraman Alvin here, and what you see here is my new workspace. Apologies to the mess over here. Now, I didn't really tidying up, so yeah, it's gonna look like that for the time being. So yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, this is this new Simagic at its full glory. Well, not quite at its full glory, but at the time being, I don't really think of anything to improve upon it. So at the time being, it's gonna be its full glory. But in any case, let's dive into the new rig and see the differences between this one and my old rig. The first main thing being is that it's no longer a motion sim rig. Now, apart from one obvious reason is that the actuator actually takes space, which, given the fact that I have very limited space to work with here, it's always a good thing to have an extra sort of source to save any space over here, which is very appreciated. But also, for the actuators, you need a servo, which for all those servos for all of my motion sim rigs, they need a freaking cargo to store all of them. Given the fact that I don't want to rent an extra flat for that particular purpose, it's always a good thing to make it a standard rig just to save some extra money and space. And aside from that, is that the noise. Now, for anyone who has owned a motion rig and have sort of seen it operating before, you know that a motion rig makes a hell of a lot of noise. So it just gives one less reason for a hostile neighbor to be knocking at my home door through the app, which is very appreciated. FBI, open up! Moving on to the displays. Now, my triple screen setup has been replaced by a single screen setup. Now, I know that is this extra screen here, but we'll ignore that for a second here. Now, the main screen that I use for driving right now has been replaced by a 43-inch ultra-wide screen, which is a great screen by any means. I feel like they are not as good as my old setup graphically, but it does the job, and I believe it has high frames, so it's a good way nonetheless. Now, this screen has taken from my old Simagic setup. Now, this one's used for sort of assistant screen, a side screen, whatever you like to call it. It's a place where I can put all my telemetry, softwares, chats and whatnot, all those nuances and apps just to distract myself while I'm driving, which is excellent. Now, this side screen has been very conveniently mounted onto the side of the stairs over here, which is very great. Now, moving on to, arguably, the heart and soul of the rig. Now, this is where an M10 should be on my old rig, which has been replaced by a Simagic Alpha Mini. Now, for this one is just that for the M10, Simagic has stopped the support for the M10 wheelbase very recently, which I had to do some upgrades on it, and the guys over at Simagic are very kindly enough to loan me this one, including the FX steering wheel. So a big shout out to them, but also as a bonus, it comes with a mysterious notepaper that is written in alien language. I'm not sure what it does, but surely it's going to work 0.2 of a second right there. Now, speaking of the M10, after its happy retirement, it's been rested over at this luxurious spot right under the stairs over here. Now, I reckon that this one is not going to get a hell of a lot of use after I switch on to the Alpha Minis, but who knows, this one might come out as sort of like a spare rig. So, until then, the little guy will be resting over here, just enjoying his happy retirement. Moving on to this wheel that is being attached to this wheelbase, which is a Simagic FX wheel. Now, this one has slowly become one of my favorite wheels of all time, hands down. This one is just a brilliant wheel for the purpose that I do. Now, for anyone who know me, is that I don't really drive a various kind of cars. I'm more that sort of guy, just stick to competitive racing and just drive race cars in general. Specifically, it's ACC competitive racing. So given on what I do for the sort of purpose that I decide to go for, this wheel is more than enough for everything. I think it's just the fact that the size is just right for doing competitive racing. I believe these are 290 millimeters in diameter, but also, as you can tell, aesthetically, there are lots of switches and buttons that you can play around with. It just gives more functionality than I can ever need on competitive racing. In fact, I think this is the first time where on the wheel where I found out there's some extra buttons being let out because all the buttons being set on something, and all the functionalities are being taken, and there's still some spare buttons that are not being used, which is very bizarre given that my experience on the wheel is always that I always have less buttons than I need, not the other way around. But in any case, these just feels good, and it just looks great as well as a wheel. It's very sturdy, it feels great to be driving on it, and I think the fact that this thing is plated with carbon fiber is helping it quite a bit. Comes with Simagic quick release, obviously, and a great bonus, magnetic shifters and clutch pedals, which is always a good thing. Now moving on to arguably my favorite part of the Simbrick. Now this is a P2000R pedals, which is also being made by Simagic, as you can see here. Now, unlike the other two that I just talked about, this one is a part of the Simbrick where I actually did purchase myself, and I have to say, out of all the pedals that I've used so far, which has been a Logitech G29 pedals, a Fanatec CSO Elite pedals, but also the very recently, not quite recently actually, the Thrustmaster TLC M pedals, which is actually sitting right behind my Simbrick over here, still chilling. And despite the fact that I'll always like the TLC M pedals, which has been working great out of the times where I've used it, this is just a massive upgrade, and these are the best pedals I've used so far, hands down. It's just feels great to use, and they are the ones that I call the most realistic ones that I've used, and I think partly has due to the fact that the hydraulic brake modules, which is something that I never heard of until I've gotten to Simagic and actually heard about the P2000. Never thought that you're going to be crazy enough to fit a hydraulic braking module on a Simagic gear, but apparently they've done it. So yeah, this is a very big shot for me, and personally my experience on this braking module is that it's not really necessary to have one, but it's always good to have that extra bit of a nuanced feel and precision on brake. And for someone who has driven car quite a bit in real life, that feel on the braking is very crucial for my precision on it. And these set of pedals, after switching onto them, I just realize how much more consistency and precision I'm getting out of my braking, which is absolutely fantastic and hugely appreciated. And then, just for a extra icing on the cake, we have a throttle damper, which are actually adjustable. Now, for my settings, I keep it at 3, which I think are the sweet spot for these. Anything higher than that will feel a bit jammy and slow, not responsive enough, and it just adds a bit of weight, which is very appreciated for extra bit of precision when you pick up the throttle. But I would say that these are definitely not needed, given that the fact that these pedals themselves have a great feel and a great weight to it, which is always a great thing to have on your sim racing gear. But it's always nice to have an extra bit of stuff, never hurts. And these are pretty much the main part of my sim rig. Now, the chair has remained unchanged. This is directly taken from my old Simbrick, which I don't even know what this seat is called. It's a Bridie, but whatever. I don't think anyone cares about that naming. And also, oh, before I forget, the Simagic gloves, just to go along with a full Simagic setup. Always good to have some virginity protection gear alongside with you. So these will be my go-tos at my coming up sim racing journey. My headsets, which are rather aged, given on how much I've used them, and of course the PC. Nobody cares about that. A speaker, and some of the mess over here, and I think that's pretty much it for my new rig. So yeah, I'm going to be off for now and handing back to the regular me for taking you through the announcements and stuff, and I'll be catching you guys in the next one.
So there you have it. Now, like I said, with my new sim rig, just a very great tool for me to get some content out. Hopefully that's going to cut my absence on YouTube and Bilibili quite a bit. And yeah, hopefully this is going to be the last time where I'm going to be doing the infinite hiatus thing, and just to give myself room to breathe whenever I find out that I am overloaded with work. But anyway, for that particular purpose, I have already come up with a plan to do a weekly stream every Thursday evening on Bilibili. Mainly it's going to be me driving on ACC in online lobbies, but at some time or not, I'm going to mix in some other games, and just to give me a chance to drive around and practice, and also to interact with my viewers a little bit more. So if you really feel like it, and you want to interact with me just to see me driving live somewhat, feel free to come in and hang out, have fun, and chat with me somewhat, because I really do like interacting with others, just to talk about how sim racing is, and just to get to understand the culture a little bit more. So whenever this goes live, hopefully that you guys are going to join and come out just to have fun and hang out a little bit with me. Now, remember that one reason that I didn't go into fully on why I had a full Simagic setup? Well, for those who have a very sharp eyes and some quick thinking, you might have noticed that already. I am indeed wearing a Simagic t-shirt, which brings me nicely onto the actual announcement, is that I'm employed. I'm officially employed and have a proper job now, which excites me quite a bit. And that is certainly a new stage into my career, but also my life in general. So to whom it may concern, please do remember to take my upcoming videos, especially on all the Simagic related stuff, with a grain of salt. But then again, you really should be doing that to anything online, to be fair. But with that being said, I was still trying to keep everything as honest, as straightforward, and as objective as possible. So that is just sort of a disclaimer, just for those who are concerned about me being a little bit biased towards this stuff, which I think I inevitably will be. But like I said again, that doesn't really change my opinion about stuff, and I wouldn't really dive into things that I know that I would really enjoy. So yes, that's a spoiler alert for those who are concerned, but yeah, that's just a little bit of an update on what I've been doing and what I'm up to, really. So yeah, new stuff, new changes, new sim rig, everything anew. It's a fresh start into a new stage of my life. I'm excited to get into that, and excited to see what's next, and hopefully you guys are as excited as me about that as well. So hopefully that I will be pumping more video out soon, and the streaming thing, which hopefully will be set up in somewhere next week. So until then, this is Tuesday TrackWalks. I'm Alvin Wong. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon if you haven't already, and I shall see you in the next episode of Tuesday TrackWalks. Cheers guys, take care, and I shall see you soon.